Our enemies only understand strength.
Eric, as you've said, the president posting on Truth Social. We now have that for our viewers to look at on the screen. There it is. The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today, 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump, unprecedented action in Venezuela overnight. Let's talk more about it with Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson, who's there in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Companies back in Venezuela. Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, even larger than Saudi Arabia. We've seen the seizing of those oil tankers off the coast of Venezuela that the Trump administration has sanctioned and says they're part of the shadow fleet. We've seen Coast Guard Special Operations Forces fast roping aboard some of those tankers and seizing them. One is at anchor in Galveston, right there off the coast of Texas. This has been a tightening of the noose, if you will, of Maduro. But really a daring operation tonight from U.S. Special Operations Forces wife, and to know where he is.
Right. President Trump, again, already touting the success of this mission. Let's talk about what we've heard from the Venezuelan government so far. I know you've read the statement that they put out. We're also hearing from the Venezuela defense minister saying that they're compiling information about the dead and injured in the U.S. attack. You know more about the locations that were struck, and would you expect that there would be the collateral damage that Venezuelan government is trying to compile?
And it could have been part of a diversion as well. With these major bases in Caracas, two of them that were struck, their large-scale military base as well as the air base, as well as their largest port just north of Caracas, were struck. Also, Hugo Chavez's mausoleum was reportedly struck in the airstrikes. No question to sow confusion among the Venezuelan forces, to distract them. Also, again, can't be emphasized enough, we did not see any surface-to-air missiles launched from the Venezuelan forces, any AAA anti-aircraft fire. The only fire that we have seen on social media came from U.S. aircraft flying overhead.
Lucas Tomlinson, thank you so much. Stand by, though. Eric Shawn, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Chandler, and thank you, Lucas. Christopher Nixon Cox has had wide experience in international affairs. He is the grandson of President Richard M. Nixon. Joins us now on the telephone.
In true Trump fashion, he goes in, takes care of business, and gets right out. Love this president. Love his action.
Chris, this is, you have to say, an historic night. The United States government, the Trump administration, taking bold, decisive action, shocking and surprising by capturing Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia. They obviously are now, or probably, in handcuffs because he has been for 5 years under indictment for running a massive billion-dollar narco-terrorist organization. Your thoughts at this stunning move by President Trump?
Well, this is just, as you said, absolutely stunning. What a brilliant move by President Trump to decapitate the Venezuelan regime. What a brilliant operation that was run by our military, led by Secretary Hegseth. All credit to President Trump and our brilliant soldiers for doing this operation so efficiently, so well thought out. This is just an extraordinary night. And now I would say that after the success of this military operation, the real work begins, because Venezuela cannot become a Somalia in the tropics, so to speak. This is when the real work will begin to stabilize the country, to rebuild the businesses of the country, to rebuild the civilian infrastructure. That's going to be a very important next step. And then also there will be ramifications. The Venezuelan regime was propping up the leftist regime in Colombia. There's an election coming up in Colombia in the spring. That's going to be a very important election. There are ramifications in Tehran. I'm sure they're trembling in Tehran right now after watching what President Trump did in Venezuela. And there are ramifications in Russia and in Beijing as well. So this operation will live for a long time over the months and years to come. And this is a signature moment for the Trump administration.
Absolutely is. And one would think some of those plans are in place for Venezuelans' future. But let me focus on Maduro, who right now the president says is in U.S. custody with his wife flown out of the country. So that you've got to think that there was this special operation, SEAL Team 6 type operation on the ground that went in, overpowered and or perhaps killed Maduro's bodyguards. He maybe surrendered, was captured, is now in handcuffs, probably flown to the USS Gerald Ford, and at some point in the next few days may be arraigned in either New York, Washington, or Miami, because the president said that the operation was done in conjunction with the U.S. law enforcement. So in some ways, it's a U.S. law enforcement operation. Your thoughts, Chris, on the fact that we can try and we can bring to justice the enemies of America, the people who are accused of flooding our country and killing our citizens with fentanyl and drugs, and take such a daring, swift move in the overnight to bring someone like Nicolas Maduro, who we see on the screen, to justice?
Well, it shows that you can't hide from the United States. Anywhere in the world, we can get you. You never know when it could happen, but it will happen, and we will get the enemies of our country. Anyone who threatens the United States, this president will come and get. And I think that is a powerful message across the world. And frankly, this reminds me very much of the Noriega operation back in, I guess it was 1989 or the early 90s.
Yeah.
This is just brilliance from our military. What a strong show of force. What a great move from this president. And just what a shocking turn of events. And let me point this out. It was just a few hours ago that the Chinese special envoy for Venezuela was meeting with Maduro. They had no idea what was coming. And so, that this operation could be carried out in secrecy with our great soldiers in Delta Force or SEAL Team 6 or whoever did it, it is a great accomplishment for our military and for this president.
Absolutely. Yet another reason to support and thank our military men and women who are in harm's way, and some were definitely tonight. Let me read you, back in 2020, the original indictment took on Maduro and some top Venezuelan leaders, saying he's not just president of a country, but head of a cartel, the Cartel of the Suns. Maduro has denied that. But at the time, Attorney General William Barr said this: as alleged, Maduro and the other defendants expressly intended to flood the United States with cocaine in order to undermine the health and well-being of our nation. Maduro very deliberately led people, it was corrupt Venezuelan institutions, to line their pockets with drug money. According to the indictment, Nicolas Maduro is a massive, huge billion-dollar drug boss. And President Trump has taken this astounding action to get him.
This is unprecedented by this cabinet and this president. But Canada should pay attention. Greenland should pay attention. Colombia should pay attention. We need a few more states on that flag of ours. I think a lot of people would agree. If these people don't watch out, we might just kick your ass and make you next.
Well, this is just, again, it is Venezuela under the Maduro and Chavez regime was a criminal enterprise masquerading as a government. And we have to call a spade a spade. That's what this was. And Maduro was flooding our country with drugs. He was killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens over the last few years. But even worse than that, he was trying to flood our country with criminals, with the worst of his society across our southern border to destabilize our country. And the immigration that happened under the Biden administration, where you had gang members, cartel members flooding into our country. I saw it in New York City, where our hotels, parts of our city were occupied. This was a move that had to be done to say enough was enough. And then when you also factor in that Hezbollah and Iran, that Russia, they all had inroads, the Cubans all had inroads into Venezuela. They used Venezuela as a base to do nefarious things to the United States. This move by President Trump has turned everything on its head. It's a great day for our country.
Yes, it's amazing. how, and you mentioned Hezbollah and, of course, Iran and China and Russia, but let me zero in on Hezbollah, their ability to strike at us and or use Venezuela as a launching pad, as they have over the past number of years, now that Maduro is apparently gone.
Well, we cut the head of the snake off, and that means that now Hezbollah will not have sanctuary in Venezuela anymore. You have to believe that the people of Venezuela know that their country in the last generation has gone from being the most prosperous country in Latin America to being one of the poorest. And so I would think the people of Venezuela will be very happy to take control of their destiny and to kick out Hezbollah, to kick out Russia, to kick out the enemies of the United States, because at the end of the day, the United States is a much better ally, can do much more for the people of Venezuela. So I think this is going to be a turning point geopolitically, and I think Hezbollah is going to have to find a new neighborhood to terrorize now, because there's a new sheriff in town, and it's President Trump. So this is going to be a big victory, a big blow against Hezbollah. But also don't discount what this says to Russia. This says to Russia that President Trump is serious, that Russia can't meddle in our hemisphere, and it also sends a message to Russia that they better be serious about peace in Ukraine, because President Trump has dealt with Venezuela, and the next one he's going to deal with is Ukraine. The Russians only understand strength. This move with Maduro will only strengthen President Trump's hand as he negotiates peace in Ukraine. President Trump is a very studious, studies history very closely. He understands the importance of history, and he understands the importance of peace through strength. And I think that, he draws on threads from my grandfather, draws on threads from other presidents that he admires, and he is putting into practice this principle of peace through strength. It is really the Trump doctrine, and it is something that is so simple, which is our enemies only understand strength. They only understand the rule of the jungle. Maduro was a thug. We all know that. He worked with cartels. He worked with the worst of this world, and President Trump was willing to stand up and show strength to him. And he understands that this will play with all our adversaries, with all our competitors around the world. Now everyone who opposes the United States, who opposes peace, will have to think twice. And it's all because of President Trump's strength.
Maduro was a thug. So says Christopher Nixon Cox, President Richard Nixon's grandson. Maduro, now perhaps on the USS Gerald Ford, put in handcuffs with his wife, captured by the Trump administration to face justice in a federal courtroom in either Washington, New York, or Miami sometime in the coming weeks, under indictment for 5 years for running $1 billion alleged drug narco terrorist